views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host and or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of the host and or Paranormal Buzz Radio and or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is prohibited. Paranormal Buzz Radio will not be held responsible for you holding your knees, crying, and rocking in a corner in a puddle of your own urine, or being beheaded by a group of children in a cornfield. In fact, if you come across a group of children in a cornfield, we promise to make fun of you as you run away screaming in terror. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome everybody to The Grave Report with your hosts, Sandy and Russ Wells from American Ghosthunters, SJ and Russ Wells. Let's get started. Good evening everyone. Welcome to The Grave Report with Sandy and Russ.
Yo, what's up?
Tonight we're going to be talking about all aspects of attachments, how people get them, how to get rid of them, and so forth.
How to recognize them.
Yeah. So, anyway, we're going to start out with the cause of attachments, and usually there's always an underlying reason. It just doesn't usually happen for no reason. Some of the things that cause it are negative situations, fear, addictions, hardships, challenges, life challenges,
life tragedies.
Yeah, and depression. There's all kinds of things that can cause it, but it can also be caused by your environment, where you're living, where you're working. Like negative places.
It's everything around us is made up of matter and energy. Mm-hmm. I mean, it takes energy to make it. The sun grows the wood turns into the houses, and all these different ingredients in our everyday life. So buildings themselves can hold this energy, mm-hmm. which can be bled off into you.
Yeah,
it can affect you.
Yeah, and one thing that I've learned over the years, and I know Russ has too, is that you're not going to get just a normal kind of attachment. You're going to get something that has to do with malevolent spirits, which obviously were negative people in life, or the shadow type people that are being seen, which shadow people are not normally negative. They're just
visitors.
A culmination of a manifestation is how I think of it. One of the things that people don't understand is that, yes, you can get an attachment by a demon, but there's 4 stages of possession, I guess, is what they call it. There's infestation, oppression, obsession, and possession. And then finally possession. And then there's...
That sounds right.
Yeah, and the thing about demons are they're never incarnated into... They're not a spirit. They're never incarnated into the earthly plane. Although they reside within our dimension, they do not come from like a physical... They were never on the physical plane, like as humans or whatever. And then you got angels, which is the same thing. The only difference is they're good. But angels were never incarnated into the physical either. So that's a big difference between a malevolent spirit and a demon, is because they're not one and the same. I mean, they're totally different. So,
pardon me.
Yeah, excuse you.
Yeah.
Now, although a malevolent spirit can kind of, I don't know, trying to think of the word I'm thinking of, but they cannot do the same things as a demon can.
They can't penetrate. I mean, for a latter part of the sense, demons, they get in your head. and they infiltrate. They infestate. You know
No,
what I mean?
infiltrate.
And whatever the word is. But the other is just kind of like they're with you.
Mm-hmm.
And they're hanging out with you, and they're over your shoulder. Not good. It doesn't mean that they're bad.
Right.
A lot of it's visitations. Our loved ones are around us, but we see shadows, we see movement, and a lot of people freak out and they go, "Oh God, I got a ghost on my butt."
Yeah, it's automatic if you've gone to bars or you drink, like I was saying, addictions.
Yeah.
I think of it, and I was saying this to somebody the other day, is I think of it as like the demon in the bottle. And so, it's like you start drinking and you start fearing and you start being angry and hateful, and all that is caused from an attachment or a demon in the beginning.
Yeah.
Now, as far as malevolent spirits go, they remain in their... Okay, when you get an attachment by a malevolent spirit, it's like it's automatic. They automatically start messing with you. But in a demon possession, it's, they take their time, because they have all the time.
They're in it for the long run.
Yeah, they will cause you to lose like relationships, or everything in your life will seem like it fell apart. That's demonic. And
their goal is your destruction.
Right, and your soul.
Yeah, well,
all they're there to do is take hold of your soul and just stay attached to it, basically.
Liken it to Star Trek. You got any Star Trek fans out there? The Borg.
Yeah.
Resistance is futile.
Yeah, and the demonic is something that their final goal is to have you dead.
Yeah.
Whether that's by suicide, accident, I don't know, it could be a million things, but that's their goal, so that they can
get your soul.
They can take your soul and
do whatever they wish.
Yeah, do whatever they wish with it, whether that's consume it,
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, consume it or destroy the physical body so that the soul is released. It could be a lot of things, and so you have to be really careful. What your life, where you're taking your life, what road are you taking your life down? I mean, but we'll get into that in a minute. Like I said, neither demons or angels are incarnated on the face of the earth. Now, there are some guardian angels that can, I don't know if they come in and they take over someone to do something good for you. Like, a lot of people will have an accident or something, and like Russ, for instance, he had an accident, and afterwards, after the accident was over, he had an angel get him out of that truck. I mean, it's kind of a long story, but yeah, I mean, there was somebody there that said, put their hand through the window, and Russ grabbed it and was taken out of the truck, and even though he can't remember how he got out of the truck, he just remembers he was out of the truck.
I wasn't ejected. If I would have been ejected, well, we wouldn't be speaking right now.
Right.
It was violent.
Yeah, it was a really traumatic car accident. So, some of the places that you have to be really careful and to make sure that you're being very protective over yourself and your soul is taverns, hospitals, asylums,
graveyards,
prisons, graveyards, cemeteries. Although graveyards are more attached to a church, so I don't know if you're not going to get them as much there as you will at a cemetery.
A lot of people don't know the difference between cemeteries and graveyards. Yeah,
well, a cemetery is a public burial ground, and a graveyard is something that's attached to a church, right next to a church, and it's usually people that go to church that are buried there.
Just an FYI.
Yeah, yep. Just an FYI. Some of the things that you can use or have somebody come in and do, and watch what tools they use, because it's usually a psychic, a medium, anybody that can communicate with a spirit that's there, or spirits that are there. Some of those tools are sage, Palo Santo, obsidian, labradorite, sea salt, black salt, Himalayan salt, prayers, and communicating with spirits to see if you can get them to move on without having to use any kind of tools on them. Because your main goal is to weaken. If the haunting is kind of I don't know, they're affecting you by scratches and all that thing, please don't think that's demonic, because it doesn't, not necessarily is.
Yeah.
Okay. You get scratches, you get your hair pulled, your kids are seeing them, whatever the case may be.
Case in point.
Go ahead.
Old Montana State Prison.
Yes.
They had riots there. What years?
Let's see, there was 1910 or something, and then 1959.
So I'm not sure
right,
which we were dealing with, which individuals, but in the area where they held the guards, I was struck. It lifted in the air, thrown into a concrete wall.
It wasn't like lifted 6 feet in the air.
No.
Just like
it was just
right
off the ground,
off his feet.
And
yeah.
you can. I don't know what it was that hit me, but you can clearly hear it. I had my audio running. You clearly hear it cut the wind as it came at me,
like that whooshing sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was pretty incredible. But that wasn't demonic, and it wasn't an oppressive thing. What it was I don't know how they knew, but I used to be a military police officer in the Army. And they, they associated my law enforcement background, their prisoners.
Or you looked like one of the guards that were there when they were there. Because
we did EVPs there. They meant to do it. Mm-hmm. And if there wasn't so many people in the room, I believe they would have.
It meant to do it, not they.
Well, who was it, right? Anyway,
yeah, we don't know.
But it wasn't evil. It was angry.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, those kind of places you have to really be cautious with. Even ghost towns, any place that may have had kind of battlefields, those kind of things, you have to be careful of those places, because, or any investigative place that we go to, abandoned. Now, another place you have to really look out for possible demonic presence is in abandoned buildings. And the reason is because they really, and probably more so malevolent kind of spirits, but they really don't want to be around people. They really don't. And the more that you push them, the angrier they get. That's when you get hurt. So you have to make sure that you're protecting your physical self and your soul from being attached. One of the things, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and she's on the show with me on Sacredopedia. I don't know if Russ is going to be on that, because he's not as trained in the metaphysical side. He knows a lot of stuff, but
trained?
yeah, he's not.
The only thing I know is what she teaches. When she's doing her work, I get the benefit of listening to it. But I got, honestly, right over my head. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm a simple boy, but yeah. It's pretty intense. I'm very proud of. Go ahead, please. You're just. How close are you to being a PhD?
I don't know. It's going to take a while. Yeah, but I got about 4 months left till I got my master's in metaphysical sciences, and then Then it may take me a year to get my doctorate done. So I don't know.
We're talking some really long-haired stuff, guys. So I'm pretty impressed and very proud of her.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
But anyway, so yeah, be very cautious when you go into abandoned buildings, because that's basically their ground, or attics or basements. And a lot of you wonder, well, why is basements and attics so haunted? It's because it's a dark place. It's a place where they have silence, they have peace, they don't have to mess with anybody. They just don't want you around.
And a lot of times you're not seeing their environment in their stage of where they're at. That basement is set up the way it was when they were there.
Yeah.
And if something's moved, they get upset. So a lot of times we don't think about that, but we're invading their area.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, because I'm sure a lot of you paranormal investigators out there have been to places that, you experienced something that was out of the normal. A normal haunting is like a regular spirit, just hanging out and didn't feel like going to the other side because it's their choice. They can stay or they can go,
Or you get the places that I call the curly moments. Woo, woo, woo.
Yeah, they give you the woo-woos.
Yeah.
That's what we're else call it.
Oh, boy.
But then you're going to run into some spirits that were violent in life. They
Absolutely.
have no reason to be nice now.
Nope.
They take themselves just exactly how they are and transition into the astral plane, which a lot of people don't talk about. They just talk about spirits, but they don't really talk about how or where they come from. When you first pass away, you go to an astral plane where there is both good and bad spirits. And if you happen to use some kind of tool to open that astral plane gateway up, you just don't know who you're going to get coming through that portal. So you have to be really careful of that too. The thing about communicating with spirits is that you don't know who you're going to be talking to unless you're specifically saying a name or, like loved ones. You want to talk to them. That's good. But even then, you have to be careful because you don't know for sure who you're talking to if it's not like a loved one or something. A loved one's going to know something about you that can, like a psychic can tell you specific things that nobody would know. So you have to be, very cautious about who it is that you're going to talk to. When you go into any kind of location and you got a spirit, a team member or something that has sensitive abilities, intuition, psychic abilities, is an empath, whatever you want to call it, whatever their gifts are, then that's another thing that is a good tool. I mean,
Really
because it is possible that they're going to be able to transition the spirit into the astral plane. And, yeah.
Well, I agree. I'm just sitting here thinking that, with all today's new technology and everything, and some of it's wonderful. It really is very, very cool. I'm still old school. I'd rather just walk around with my camera, my video, or my audio going.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I don't know why I got thinking about that, but it did.
That's okay.
Just drifting off here.
Yeah, it happens when you get to be our age, but
yeah.
Okay.
Wait till you hit 60, you'll understand.
Yeah, and always try to remember that these spirits that are hanging out with us, are hanging out in our dimension. I guess I should say, the physical dimension. They have a choice and will as to whether they want to go into the astral plane or whether they want to stay. And there's usually no reason they're staying, like they have unfinished business. We talk about that a lot. Could be any reason. They want somebody to solve their murder, or they don't know they're dead. Those kind of things that we all as paranormal investigators seem to think happens after we die.
Yeah. It's like I've always wondered about that couple. Again, this is a Montana State Prison in Deer Lodge.
Mm-hmm.
They got a classic car museum over to the left-hand side as you go in. Wonderful place to go, by the way, if you get out there. And there was this 55, 56 Chevy, blue, and a couple appeared. And they were smiling.
Like teenage kids.
Yeah, they were smiling. They were happy. And they just kind of beamed out like on Star Trek again. Another pun to that. But it was so cool. And then I started wondering, well, why did they appear? It's something with the car.
They're attached to the car for some reason.
You don't know. There's another picture that a team member got of a little kid sitting in the back of
the same car museum.
Yeah, of a Roadster, I think it was, or something. I can't remember what car it was.
It was like an old Oldsmobile or something, one of them big boats that run down the road.
You can see this kid. Well, he's dark, but you can see the bill of his hat. Everything is very.
Yeah, you can see the red. Back then, little boys wore the tan outfit with the red scarf, and I don't know what they use today, but it was a red scarf back in the 50s.
That's why we do this, because we want to know, why are they here? What are they doing? And Dan Norvell, a good friend of ours, was talking about, we're seeing them as a shadow or kind of a fuzzy apparition or whatever you want to call it. How about from their perspective? Is that what they're seeing from us? Of us? We're fading into their reality?
Maybe. None of us know this. That's why we say...
That's ghost hunting.
That's why we say there are no facts, because we haven't been able to prove these theories that we've all come up with.
Yeah.
But anyway, about the little boy that we were just talking about. Excuse me. He was kind of leaning, had his arms on the window frame, and the window was up because all the cars in there at the museum are locked. So the window was up, and he was leaning through that window in the picture, and he was kind of like a dog gets up and hangs his head out the window. That's what it kind of reminded me of. And it was a little boy, he had a little baseball cap on, but he was in the Boy Scout uniform. So I'm wondering if that particular car his parents may have gotten in an accident and he died. And he's still hanging out in that car. And in his world, in his reality,
they're still riding that car.
Yeah, he's still driving down the road.
Yeah. And just like that couple. They just went out on their prom date or whatever the heck they were doing.
Yeah.
They just stopped. They saw me and they smiled and they left.
Well, it was a young couple with, the girl had like a poodle skirt on.
Oh my God, it's so cool.
All that. And then the boy had a leather jacket on with the white t-shirt and the hair greased back and all that.
Yeah.
So.
It was so typical of that era that it was almost like James Dean staring at him, It was pretty cool.
So before we go on anymore, I want you guys to think about this, and I'm really serious about this. If you would please send me any experiences that you have that were similar to what we were just talking about, and tell me what you felt about it and your thoughts on it. And we will talk about it on one of our shows about hauntings. I would like to know, I'd like to have anybody that out there that would like to share their stories with us to please do. Send a message to me in Messenger, and I'll make sure that we get your story on the air when we're doing our show.
Absolutely.
One of the things that a lot of people don't understand is spirits have free, I think I mentioned it, but spirits have free will and they have choice. If you go to bless a house or you go to try to rid, because a lot of your clients are going to say, hey, I want this thing gone. I don't want it in my house anymore. Well, that's all well and good. But the problem is that we cannot make them go. Yes, we can lower their energy and kind of bind them to the attic or wherever. But we cannot make or force them to leave. Because eventually they're going to regain their, depending how you do it, of course, but eventually they're going to regain their energy and they're going to be back. And that's happened more times than not, I would imagine.
That's the thing that kind of is the bad part about energy. It's something that cannot be destroyed.
Right.
It just can't happen.
A lot of you are into physics like we are, and it's just energy always is, and it can never be destroyed. And you can never make energy, but you can,
I forget how that went.
Yeah, I guess it's something like that.
Stuff, like I said, but it's so cool because it's right on the money. Check it out. Is it Einstein that said that, or
I just know it's physical. It's like quantum physics.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. We start getting out of our league. We got friends, Jeff Davis, right? Is that what his name is? He was with us in the beginning.
Yeah, he's around us. Yeah.
Yeah. Now there's a guy that can tell you some stuff about physics.
Yeah, he's really, really into it.
Really intelligent.
Yeah. And he writes books.
Oh, yeah. And look him up.
Jeff Davis. Or it's Jeff or Jeffrey?
Jeffrey.
I think it's Jeffrey.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think he lives in Oregon or something. But anyway.
We could plug our friends all day long.
Yeah. We know a lot of really intelligent people that investigate.
Scientists.
Yeah, scientists. Police officers. Let's see. Who else? Doctors. People that have trained in parapsychology, those kind of things. I mean, it's a very rounded thing to in the paranormal anymore. I mean, it's not just kids running out with a camera and a voice box into the cemetery and trying to pick up ghosts. It's much more theoretical now than it ever has been. Yes, there are a lot of new people that aren't to that point yet because they haven't. I think it's like you haven't earned your wings yet. You haven't been within the fray of the paranormal as much as some other people. But that doesn't make you a good investigator.
No,
it just means that you haven't been in it as long as somebody else.
Watching 2 episodes of Ghost Hunter does not make you a ghost hunter.
No.
You need a little bit more training, but I don't down anybody for getting into the field,
No, I like watching those shows too. I haven't watched it in a long time because I don't have a TV.
We turned it off.
Yeah, it's just too expensive. We couldn't afford it. But
welcome to the inflation.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but that was a while ago. I mean, I probably haven't watched like those kind of shows in 10 years because typically I don't need to because
I get all the information I need off the internet.
Well, and from our experiences and what the knowledge we have from 40 some years of investigating. I mean. And, it may all sound kind of, off the wall, some of the things we're talking about, but these are things that we experience, and I would swear to you by it. I mean, I'd swear on a stack of Bibles that they happen.
Here we go. This is not a possession. This is not even it wasn't even attached to me only for a moment.
Well, about 10 minutes. Yeah.
I don't remember much about it, but we were in...
where
was that?
Nevada? No. Virginia City, Montana. In the town of, and it's actually a semi-ghost town, because people still live there, and there's a lot of businesses and things like that. But we went up to the cemetery on the hill, which they call Boot Hill, supposedly.
We were there for, I don't know, a couple hours.
No.
Looking around, it's a big place.
Well, in town and up the cemetery.
Yes, well, anyway.
Anyway, guys, sorry. We're married. We've been married
a long time. We do this all the
time. But anyway, so we were up at the cemetery and just looking around, and there's 5 guys buried up there that
and 2 prostitutes.
No, that's a different place.
Oh, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Here we go again.
He does this all the time. He gets himself confused. It's since the accident. But anyway, so we were standing there taking pictures of the 5 men's gravestones, and they were all hanged at the same time in one of the buildings in town. And they just buried them there. They didn't want them within the confines of the public cemetery.
Of the good people.
Yeah, the good people, So we stood there for a little bit, and then we took pictures, and then we walked into the main cemetery and was walking around, obviously taking photos, video, normal investigative kind of stuff, doing EVP session. And then we started to leave, and I don't know, it was weird. Russ was fine. We got in the car, we got in the truck, and we had a GMC Yukon at that time.
Yep.
And Russ got in the driver's seat, and all of a sudden, it's like we're starting to go down the hill, and he's looking at the steering wheel, but at the road too. And I was like looking at him like, are you okay? Because he looked funny, he just didn't act like Russ. And so he didn't answer me. And I said, are you okay? Yeah, I think so, and then it was like he didn't know how to drive. He was really struggling to figure out how to turn the corner.
I've been driving since I was 12.
Yeah. Yeah, and he was a truck driver.
Yeah.
So, he was turning the corner. It was like he had to literally spin it back because he didn't know that it was going to come back on its own.
I don't remember none of this stuff.
Yeah, he doesn't remember any of this. I remember it because I was sitting next to him in the next seat, in the passenger seat. Well, anyway, so we're driving down the main street, and we get around the first corner that you have to go around to go out of town. And I said, you need to pull over because you're not acting right. And so he's trying to figure out how to pull off the road. And that took a couple minutes. And I said, Russ, you need to pull off the road and let me drive. Something's not right. I thought he was actually having a stroke. I really did. But then, so he pulls over. He ends up getting the rig stopped. And so I get out, and he gets out, and he walks over and gets in the passenger seat, and I'm driving. I'm behind the wheel now. And we start back up on the road, and all of a sudden, I look over, and he's passed out. I am freaking out. I'm seriously. I thought he had a major stroke or something. But then we're driving about 2 or 3 miles down the road, and all of a sudden it was like nothing was out of the ordinary. Russ, what he came out of his whatever, I don't know. But what we think happened was because he said he started feeling weird when we were around those gravestones of the robber guys that they hung. And then he was.
I went to every one of them and said their name.
Right.
Yeah.
And then once we started down the road and he woke back up, he said, "Why am I in the passenger seat?" I said, "Because you weren't acting." I told him everything that happened, and he goes, "I don't remember a thing."
I didn't even know how we even got in the car.
So what we think, like I said, what we think happened was the spirit. I think they may have like bound him to the grounds of that cemetery, which you can do. And then he got yanked back like he was on a rubber band. You know, he got yanked back.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened. Those kind of stories that I want you guys to tell us about.
Exactly. I mean, right after that, because I felt fine. I drove for another 2-3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
No problems.
Right.
But that one period, I don't.
For some reason, I don't know why, but for some reason, Russ has abilities himself. They're not as strong, maybe, as mine. But in a way, they're better because of the way how he gets things, about, the information he gets from spirits is pretty cool. Actually.
Everything's related to famous people, or movies,
or dates.
That's the way it comes across.
Yeah, usually the year, not like a specific date, but like the year or whatever. No. But anyway,
if I was that good, we'd be
This
rich.
guy has had the weirdest experiences. I just have normal experiences, like everybody does in the paranormal, but Russ has the weird ones.
I think it's because of grandma and our lineage,
maybe
our heritage.
Well, his grandmother was Cherokee, which obviously that makes Russ Cherokee.
So might have something to do with it.
Yeah, we don't know exactly the reason why, but he's had some very strange experiences. I mean, like getting thrown. I mean, we had never, up until that point, we had never encountered anything.
Never been hit. I'd never hit nothing
like that.
I even said they can't hurt you.
Yeah.
And after that, I came out and said I was wrong.
Yeah.
Because it bruised my upper chest, boy.
Yeah.
That was weird.
Yeah. Coming across a solid apparition, and there is no other explanation for it, but this guy that we ran into at an old military fort, and
that was weird.
And cold hands, icy eyes, looking at me like there was no life in them. Just weird stuff, and him talking to Russ. Didn't know anything about the Korean War.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, it's just everything about him. But the weird thing is the way when he appeared, we locked eyes instantly. It was so freaking weird, and the way he robotically walked over to us.
Yeah, and he walked like a robot, like an AI.
It was strange as heck, but it
was strange.
Extremely nice. My grandkids are right there.
Yeah, my grandkids saw it too.
Yeah, and then after we got done with the exchange and everything, this guy
robotically walked away from us.
Well, yeah, but he covered when we came back out. And we saw him again. He covered the length of maybe 3 football fields in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, I did that.
Yeah.
The way he was walking, I don't know.
He was like walking normal.
Not in a fast
and
motion.
we had just started getting into our Yukon when this guy came up.
Yeah.
So half the grandkids were in the vehicle already, and just I think like 1 or 2 of them saw him.
It was a nice day. It wasn't cold, but he was, man.
Yeah. And he was wearing a uniform that dated back probably to World War I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he must have got killed in the war.
I don't know. His decorations were off.
And, you know, seeing stuff like that, he gets, like I said, he gets the weirdest stuff. I mean, not that I wouldn't like to see these things, but I think the only one I can remember that was stranger than normal is I don't usually see animal spirits, but that's another thing. Russ sees animal spirits. But
yeah,
we were at a theater in Bellingham, Washington, in the state where we live, and it's called the Mount Baker Theater. And I was taking my team down below where the old organ sits. You know, like during the early days when they'd play the piano or organ to, you know, silent movie kind of thing, you know. So we turned the corner to go down the stairs, and I'm about I don't know, maybe about 3 or 4 steps down, and all of a sudden I seen this black shadow that jumped at me. And in my mind, it was like a Black Panther.
Yeah.
And so I started backing up. I didn't think I could move that fast. I started backing up the stairs, and everybody's right behind me. So like I was running into everybody, and they're going, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" You know, and I'm telling them, I said, "I swear to God, guys, I just saw a Black Panther, and it jumped at me." And the weirder thing is, long story short, was that when we got done and I was talking to the manager of the theater, that they used to have animal acts come in and, you know, act on the stage and stuff, or, you know, like, I don't know, like they do with lions, you know, with the whips and chairs and all that. But they had a couple panthers and like jaguars and things like that. So it was an exotic type animal act. So yeah, that was pretty cool. But I actually did something really smart. As I got Russ, he was on the other team, and they were up, like, I don't know, I think they were up in the balcony area. And I was calling for him. I said, "Russ, I need you to come down because I need you to check something out." I didn't tell him a thing. Nothing that happened. I swear to you. And we walked in the back room where the stairs were, and I said, "Now you look down there and tell me what you see or what you feel." And he did, and he said
it was clear as day.
It was exactly what I had seen and, you know, reacted to. Then we found out also that one of the panthers had gotten out of the cage and gotten out of control, so they had to shoot him and put him out of his, you know.
That's when they used to have live acts there, you know, animal acts inside.
What I was saying. So, yeah, and they placed that animal in that closet until the show was over, so, like on canvas and stuff, so it didn't bleed on the floor or anything. But yeah, and it stayed in there for probably a few hours, and then they took it and buried it or whatever.
I would imagine it's probably still there, unless somebody has removed
a piece of that animal is still in that closet. Why it reacted all of a sudden to me, I don't know, but that was kind of scary.
It was weird, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So as you can see, I mean, not everything that comes in contact with you is going to be an attachment automatically. Now, I know a story, but I'm not going to mention any names, as I know a story of a guy who was standing outside of a cemetery, and he's standing there leaning on the fence because he wasn't really feeling all that great and just felt like maybe he shouldn't go in the cemetery.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden he's standing there, and he gets yanked over that fence. Like it was one of the like chain link fences or something, and
not an easy guy to manipulate.
Because he weighs close to 300 pounds,
and he's powerful. He's a strong guy.
Yeah, he's a strong guy. So, yeah, and so he had an attachment big time after that, and it took several people, including Russ and I, to help get it off of him. So if you get something like that, you better find somebody that knows what they're doing.
You might need a couple of priests.
A big one and a little one, yeah.
I mean, look, demons are real. I've never encountered a demonic case yet, but I've seen stuff.
And I don't want to.
Correct. I've seen things that make me really wonder, what in the heck did I just witness?
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't even speak about it again, but oh my God.
There's one other, I don't know if any of you have seen something like this, but there's two really, really strange attachments or causes. Actually, let's talk about the first one first, because one is an attachment and the other one is
curse,
a culmination of a ton of negative energy. One of them is a friend of mine refers to these type of attachments as like an octopus.
Sounds about right.
So if you think about it, say the main part of the octopus attaches to one person, and every time that person comes in contact with someone else that is weak, is it a weakened condition, like addiction or, depression, or whatever, that one of the tentacles from that main part of the octopus is reaching out to the next person, and then when he meets somebody else, it's reaching out again. So you got all these tentacles, not like a normal octopus, because this has got however many tentacles it needs to gather energy, to feed off everybody's energy and cause them negative things in their life. So think about that. So if you know that you have an attachment, stay away from everybody. Cleanse yourself with sage and whatever it is. If you don't know how to do it yourself, get somebody that's very familiar with cleansings. Have somebody else do it for you. And yeah. Okay, and go ahead.
Well, I'm just, you don't want to really bring that stuff into anybody else's life. I mean, because then it has, it's like tentacles, like you're talking about the octopus. It just keeps reaching out.
Yeah.
Branching out.
Yep.
Affecting, pretty soon, you know how it goes. Friends one day, enemies the next.
Yeah, because
you think that's by accident?
No, it's by design.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Keep that in mind, guys.
So, and the other thing I wanted to tell you about is that when you get, now this is my theory, and I've seen these things, so I know they're real, is everybody talks about shadow people, but this thing is like a shadow blob. The dog's growling outside. It's like a shadow blob. Blob. And let's say like you go to a prison, if you think about it, who was in prison? All these really bad guys, right? Robbers and rapists and murderers and serial killers and whatever. Yeah. They're all bad. And while being in this prison, they're leaving part of themselves there when they leave. That's just natural. So all this thing kind of seeps into the walls, and eventually it culminates into this pile or blob looking thing.
Sludge,
yeah. And then it just kind of blobs around. It's like crawls around, and it can attach to people, but normally doesn't stay with them too long. But what it does is it just crawls around. And Russ and I saw it at Mantino in the Morgan Cottage when it was still around.
Yeah, we were privileged to be there for one.
Yeah, finally got to see it before they tore it down.
The raccoons in the roof were really cool.
Yeah, but anyway, so I'm standing in this doorway. It used to be one of the bathrooms, and when I was just standing there taking pictures, and then I took a photo, and then all of a sudden I see this black sludge thing kind of starting to crawl up this broken brick wall. It was one of the walls, between, say, like the door, so nobody could see people in there, I guess. I don't know what you call those, I can't remember.
Divider.
The divider, yeah. And so anyway, I'm standing there, I start seeing this thing crawling up the wall, so I walk back real quick. Russ was just like 10 feet away, and I said, Russ, come here. And so he comes over real quick, and I said, you got to see this. And so we're standing in the door, and he sees it go with me over the top of this wall and just kind of sludges down. Kind of like, think about it as slime.
It poured.
It did.
I mean,
it just kind of poured over the top of the wall. I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen anything like that in a prison or
almost looked
asylum or whatever.
Almost like animated, cartoonish.
Yeah.
The way it moved. It was incredible, but it was real.
It was very real. Yeah.
It was insane.
That was a very haunted place, by the way.
Oh, boy.
I almost wonder if the spirits are still hanging out right there where the building was.
Probably.
It's just, to them, it's probably still there.
I think every bit of that ground is haunted.
Yep.
It's like here in Washington State. It's a very beautiful state, and right down the road from us, very haunted northern state hospital. Very old, very haunted. Same thing, you know.
Yeah. I want to get back to one thing before we get out of here for the night. Is that I think I talked about this, but remind me if I did. Getting rid of these attachments.
No, you haven't yet.
Okay. You can get rid of you can't get rid of them unless they want to go. But what you can do is weaken their energy and kind of bind them to a certain specific area of your house or building or whatever. But if they want to go, you can transition them just by speaking with them and saying, hey, you're no longer needed here. Your life is done. It's time for you to move into the light. And, that kind of thing. And once you do that, you'll know pretty much instantly whether it's gone or not because of, one, if you have intuition, psychic abilities, blah, blah, blah.
You'll feel it.
You'll feel it. You'll feel the energy lift. So it doesn't feel so, what's that word? Oppressive, kind of, I guess. But like I said, that kind of goes with demonic things. So don't really, take me on that word because I couldn't figure out the word I wanted to say.
Another way is live with it, give it respect, talk, interact.
Tell them that there's ground rules that they have to respect, and if they don't, then you're going to get somebody to, lower their energy and bind them.
Please, and don't be disrespectful. Don't be mad. Don't antagonize. Don't be a bully. These are people.
Yeah.
Remember, these are people we're talking about here.
Bad or good, you might convince them, even in the afterlife, to be better.
Just by talking to them, you might move them on.
Because who knows? How do you know how they were raised? They could have had abusive parents or abusive somebody, or they could have had a really poor, unfortunate life or whatever. Their life, how you grow up in your younger years is how you're going to end up being as a person, as an adult. Obviously, you can change yourself, and that's a good thing. But a lot of people, that's how they end up getting addicted to drugs or alcohol or whatever because they did not have the opportunities that other people did in life, so they just went on with what they knew.
That's their demon.
Yeah.
That's their attachment.
Yep.
And they can't get it off their. It's the monkey it's a real hard monkey to get off your back.
Mm-hmm. So try to remember that when you're investigating is be kind.
Yeah. Because
you don't know who you're talking to. You could be talking to somebody's kid. And I'm going to tell you something. If I hear of anybody out there that's
I know where you're going.
Talking bad or anything about kid spirits, don't even go there with me.
Yeah.
Because I know the story and the legend of black-eyed children.
Give me a break.
And trust me when I say it's a legend.
Yeah.
It's been.
You ever hear of Hollywood?
Yeah. It's like creating a movie. But try to think about at least especially children's spirits, because how would you like, if you were somebody, and how would you like your kid to be treated like that by some ghost hunter?
Yeah.
Be, picking at them and...
I'd be upset.
Yeah, I'd be really upset.
Yeah.
Don't want to go there with me, because I will chew your butt. Trust me on that. Okay?
Trust me, she will. Yeah.
I am going to be working with children to help their abilities and also help them get through what they've had to go through in the last couple of years. And you all know what I'm talking about. And what's going on in schools now. So I'm going to be working with kids, teaching them different things to help them cope and regain hope that this country is not as bad as what everybody's making it out to be.
Believe me, the ghost ain't the problem.
Right.
Let's just leave it right there.
Yeah, let's not go any further because Sandy will start getting nitpicky, and you guys don't want
Grandpa and Grandma's come out the closet. Y'all ain't gonna like that too much.
Yeah,
we opinionated just a hair, but anyway, we love you.
Try to remember when you're going into a place and it doesn't feel comfortable for you to be there, even on the outside of the building.
Get out.
You don't need to be there.
Yep.
because that's an indication that your guides and your angels are telling you, don't go in the building.
You're not going to help the situation out at all.
You're just going to make it worse, and somebody's going to get attachment or get attacked or something. If you don't feel right, don't do it. If you feel like you're walking on eggshells to go into any historic location or anything like that, and it gives you the goosebumps, don't go in. That is your sensitivity, your intuition telling you, stop, don't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, and there always has to be a balance between good and bad. So you got to be that person that remains right in the middle, because you're going to run into bad things. There's no doubt about that. But you're also going to run into a lot more good things than you will bad.
But you need to be prepared for the bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because sometimes the bad looks good until you expose that it's bad.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I mean, just do yourself a favor, protect yourself, read some stuff on protection. If you have any questions, please contact me. I would love to talk to you about it. I'm working on something right now that I'm trying to figure out how to help the people cope with what they're experiencing in their home.
Exactly. If you're in an investigation, you're dealing with something, and you don't know what to do, don't guess. Reach out.
Yeah. Reach out to somebody who's been doing it longer than you.
Yeah.
They may have a thought about it that you haven't thought of in your own mind how to take care of it. But if you run into anything that's really dark, get somebody that knows how to properly cleanse a location without getting yourself involved in something you can't handle.
You're inviting something into your life you don't want.
No. Because if you have a happy family life, it would be going bye-bye. That's just the way they work. Malevolent spirits are not nice.
Yeah.
And they won't put kit gloves on to handle you. They'll say, oh, they like this, or I'm just going to take that away from them.
Yeah, it just comes in, drops the bomb, and just keeps the hits coming. And don't let up until you're done.
Right.
It wins. So you got to stay strong. And don't let it happen. That's the easy part.
Okay, now, I think we've talked enough about attachments and things, but just be careful, guys. I mean, really.
Yeah.
Just be careful. That's all I can say. I can't tell you what to do or how to do it.
Neither one of us are preaching. We're just begging you to be careful.
Yeah.
That's it.
Except for the kid thing.
Well,
I will preach a little bit
She'll
about
preach
that.
on that one.
But anyway.
She is a reverend, by the way.
I am.
Yeah.
But anyway, so before we let you go. Okay, starting, because this will come out on Wednesday of this week, the 20th. But on Thursday, we are having our first live interview with Sarah Jane Milani. I can't say her other last name, but Milani. And she's into Reiki, and she's a paranormal investigator and all kinds of stuff. So we're going to talk about a lot about energy, I think. So if you want to hang out, I'll be posting a poster about it.
Come hang out
this evening, which is, Sunday night, Easter. So just come on, take a look at the poster. I'll post it in a lot of our groups and things, and ask people to share it, because it is our first live show, and we can actually sit there and communicate with you guys and chat and stuff, which would be fun.
Yeah.
So we will see you guys on Wednesday night on Spreaker. I'll post that link too for this show, and then on the 21st we will be doing a live show with Sarah Jane, and then so it'll be a lot of fun. I can't wait to meet her and get to talk to her. So
absolutely.
So anyway, you guys have a great night, and we will see you this week sometime. Bye.
Later.